Hi, welcome to my machine here. This is Plasma, all up to date and reboot. Remember, if there's a big bunch of Plasma updates, always reboot. Now, the thing is, I'm making more up-to-date articles on ArcoLinuxD. We have different projects in ArcoLinux, and you can all read about it in the start here. And the D stands for Decide the Desktop. The D, Decide your Desktop. It's the most minimal ISO we have, and there are learning phases we have here, and in phase 2 you're going to explore the desktops that's on the flagship XFC OpenBox i3 separately with all the knowledge that is in the articles. In phase 3 you're gonna go look around, and there are 17 more desktops for you to explore, so that's fun as well, and every single one has again knowledge on here. So what I'm gonna do is have a look, because we want to have a similar way of texts on all these guys, and this is not up to date yet. So phase 3, Mate, Lxqt, I think I need to start with this one as well. Still not the proper way to do, in the sense that we have a template in our head, and the last one I think that's gonna be correct is Kodi. Kodi is the last one I've made. And the point is that we want you to be aware that there are 4 ways to install a desktop. Option 1 is install the desktop using Calamares and ArcoLinuxD. Option 2 is install the desktop using our scripts. And option 3 is actually going to a different kind of project, is going to ArcoLinuxB. And the B stands in for building. You can make your own ISO. Who provides this service, right? The knowledge of building the ISO. If we can build it, why can't you build it? And that's the point of the project. Build your own ISO. I know people rather download and do that. That's fine as well. So ArcoLinux info, you go to download and you download your ISOs, and all the B's are here. But the point of the project is, why not build it yourself and become master, become in control of the operating system that you like, right? So the point is that you actually go inside here, watch some videos, all of these guys can be built, and you say, look, I'm gonna go for one of them, right? And all you do is follow 1. What's the procedure to build an ISO? And 2, what if I have an ISO, how to install the ISO, ArcoLinuxB, right? So it's super, really, it's super simple. Watch the videos. So that's the B thing. And option 4 is even more, even easier, in the sense that you start with any ArcoLinux, Arch Linux, and press a few buttons, Ctrl-Alt-E, remember that. And you launch your tweak tool. And the tweak tool makes it super simple, makes it super flexible, hence the word up here, super flexible. You can just say, decide, yeah, why not, awesome, right? Click, install, but there are all our desktops, 20 desktops are here, and with a click, it's installed. The only thing I would not do is mix deeping with anything else. If you want to explore deeping, do it just on ArcoLinuxB deeping, for example, or ArcoLinuxD and install deeping, and just keep it separate from all the rest. Just a tip. Sometimes it gives issues, sometimes it doesn't give issues. It's our experience the last 4 years. All right, so this is all possible. This is all possible. 4 options, and I'm gonna update the article that is gonna be Lxqt. I think that's the first one, and we're going to follow the tutorial there. All right, the article has been updated, and now we need to make new YouTube videos, right? Because this is just copy paste right now from Awesome. So let's make our video. How do we install Lxqt? Super F7. Launch Virtualbox. I'm gonna delete some stuff here. Well, actually I can move you here. There is already one. And then I'm gonna remove you. Delete. And I'm gonna start a template. I'm gonna say this is going to be ArcoLinuxD and it's gonna be Lxqt. Enter, close. So we have this. Now I need to have the ArcoLinuxD ISO, and I see it already here, so I can just click it. And of course you get it where, well, where do you get it? From our download. Here it is. So either you get it from SourceForge, which does not cost us anything, or you get it from here, from SeedHost, which does cost us something, so please donate to keep that business going. And ArcoLinuxD doesn't cost us either anything, in the sense that this is a torrent, right? We help each other. That's torrenting, sharing and uploading. So we have ArcoLinuxD in here. We double click it and we do Control F, right? Control F to have a full screen, so the system actually knows, hey, I have 1920 pixels on 1080 pixels. If you set the VBox SVGA, everything matters. Every parameter in VBox, Virtualbox, matters. At this point in time, may be interesting to mention, I haven't mentioned it in any of the other videos, except of course the release article, that all our ISOs are also tweaked for VMware. So you can have a go at that as well. And then of course go for full screen on your VMware machine and it will discover, hey, I'm on a 4K or something like that. All right. We are in the most minimal system we can possibly give you. There are only 7 packages of ArcoLinux when you just go through the motions of installing without selecting anything in Calamares, right? The thing I just said is option 2. Going through the motions without installing anything and using scripts later on. Option 1 is one of the easiest and came into effect, I think, beginning of 2020, when we said, hey, let's make more modules to give more freedom during installation. The only thing that's required, of course, is an internet connection, right? And we tell you guys, hey, Linux is so much better if you put in a cable. A LAN cable is always, well, not always, I don't know, right? There's lots of hardware out there, but hearing people say with LAN it works, right? So put in a cable if Wi-Fi is not your thing, it's not working or whatever. We have things to discuss. 3 big buttons. Update Arch Linux mirrors. If you want to install lots of things later on, right? If you're not planning to do that, it's not important. But if you're planning to install during Calamares, well, you better, let me get my Azerty first, and mirror list. Have a look. Is the first line the correct line for you? Is mirrorosbeck.com the fastest? In our case, yes. And we're living in America, we're living in the UK, in Belgium, and in Japan. And often we all have Osbeck, right? So good chances are that this is going to be okay for you. If not, update Arch Linux mirrors. Another answer I just gave this morning is I have a lot of partitions and all that. How to move from one operating system to another, so to ArcoLinux. The best thing is always clean everything up. It's my advice on Windows, it's my advice on Mac, it's my advice on Linux. Just put everything you don't want to miss out, all the pictures and movies and whatever you say, I don't want to miss this, I don't want to lose this, right? Put it on USB. In my case, I say put it in the cloud, right? It's there, it's free, it's gigabytes of space in the cloud. Put it on there. And if you need it back, sync it again to your computer. And if you don't need it, I just leave it in the cloud. So just a device, you do whatever you want. You have an external USB drive, etc., etc., a lot of possibilities, but this particular application can erase everything, can clean everything. This is a blank machine in VirtualBox, so all gray. But otherwise it would have colors and it would have partitions, and you select the partitions, delete the partitions, and gone. Now this is a step I've never done on any of my 48 installations. We have 24 ISOs, 24 on VirtualBox, 24 on SSD, on machines, computers, laptops, and so on. So more than 48 installations. Anyway, I've never used gparted and always used Calamares, and Calamares has never failed me. to erase encrypted partitions and you name it. So for future reference, this is the version we're using. You can choose your language if you want to change language here, and then next decide if you want to do this now or do this later. Install the Linux LTS kernel later, for example, and decide if you want to have Samba support, which is sharing a folder on my computer with everybody else in your home network. You want to have some sound or not, right? It's choices, so clicking. But this needs to be done. LightDM, or one of them, right, needs to be selected. That's your login manager, your display manager. And we have LightDM for years. It's great, it's stable, it just works, right? And even though maybe you've seen these images, LightDM does not start. It's not LightDM. It's the thing behind it, right? In tiling window managers, if you broke your configuration, that's why LightDM can't start, because you typed a comma, right? Xmonad, typed a comma. It's real. It's a language. It's a programming language, and it's precise. And then you get this message, or it can be an NVIDIA problem, a driver. Those are the two most common things why LightDM says can't start or crashing or whatever, right? So it's a stable thing. LightDM, we use it. It's themed and tweaked and all that, so that's why we like it. And then you choose a desktop, and yes, you can combine desktops, right? You can add more, but I'm just asking you to keep Deeping separate. That's the only thing, and for the rest, have fun. Lxqt, a lot of stuff goes in, and our stuff as well, ArcoLinux stuff, right? But a lot of stuff coming from ArcoLinux, and some are from AUR, and we build it, we have it on the repos, and you just install it. Of course, you can be more specific if you, in a few years' time, you know what you're doing. You can say, I'll use, for instance, another file manager, right? Nemo is also a great file manager. So it's a decision. As always, it's a lot of Lego blocks out there, and you decide what you choose. That's the fun. And that's why maybe phase 2, at some point in time, you say, I'm gonna go for phase 2. Because then you can really say, I install that particular package and that particular package. And a script is nothing more than a file that says sudo pacman -s something. All right, next, off we go. More software means longer installation, right? More patience is required. Next. Here are all the file managers, right? If you say, okay, so I won't install Thunar, fine. What should I have? You should have something, right? Ranger, this one, that one, Nemo, MC, lots of things to try out. Dolphin, right, from Plasma. But just know, if you decide to have Dolphin, some of these guys have dependencies, and nothing we can do about it. It's ArcoLinux. ArcoLinux says, if you want to have Dolphin, you need to have that, otherwise Dolphin won't work, right? So you'll get in more than just Dolphin. And so on and so on. Brussels, Belgium, cool, race. So yes, and my advice was to the person on Discord today, Telegram by the way, today, clean everything out, right? So do a erase disk, and no swap to Hibernate, swap with Hibernate. Doesn't matter what you choose here. Basically, it matters only if you have like 2 gigabytes of RAM, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and then of course maybe you need to have a little bit more swap, because swap is memory on a hard disk or memory on a file. And yes, if you want to hibernate, so it's an option like in Windows, hibernate, right? And then you wake up again, the machine wakes up again. If you want to hibernate, you need to have 10% more than the memory you're using. And since we have 16 gig in this machine, I gave 8 gig to the Virtualbox, and what does it do? 10% more, 8.8 gigabytes of swap. So now I can hibernate, right? I've done a lot of things already. I've done all the options here, and I've also done encryption and so on. So it just works. It's great. Just don't make it difficult for yourself, all the manual partitions. Well, Eric, you said in another video that you would do this, so okay, let's do it. Let's make it difficult for ourselves and decide what to do. Now I don't have a line here, so let's see if I can do that. I have MBR, so UEFI would be this one, bias is this one, okay, and there we have it. Okay, free space. Now we can create something. So this is what I never do, that I'm doing now. We do not have an EFI system, right? So I'm not gonna make a FAT32 for EFI. I do not have it, so I'm going for, let's say, something simple, right? Something simple is this. I have a primary partition of this size, right? Change the size if you want to have more partitions, for example, and you would like to boot from it. There is the root, there is the swap we can select, and let's see if that works. So this is the most simple thing you can imagine, right? It's one partition for root, ext4, all the size, so no swap whatsoever, and then go for next. At GPT, this is a general information. It doesn't, it's not artificial intelligence, right? It's not going to give you another tip if you select something else. It's just general information. We do not have a GPT partition. But if you would have a GPT partition, right, is the best option in so configure. Okay. So let's go ahead with my name and log in. And let's do its work. In the meantime, we can have a look at the text again. So there are two options. The option we did now is option 1, right? We said, get me Litium, get me Lxqt, or Qt, Lxqt, right? And that's it. Option 2 would be not selecting anything inside Calamares. And then we scroll down. This is for later. We'll do this later. But this here, option 2, is installing the most minimal machine without selecting. Maybe I should do this in black, right? Without selecting the display manager or the desktop in Calamares. And then you go and you clone something. This is a website. So many work has gone into it. 115 commits. Sure. And this is reusable. It should be reused. That's the point. We tell you, look, if you want to have, also if you start with ArcoLinux, you can reuse these scripts, because basically what's in here, can we dismiss this? Yeah. Basically what's in here, that's saying, look, I have a function to install. What is the function? Pacman minus s confirm, no confirm needed. Okay. What do you want to install? Well, first Litium, then this one, then that one, then this one, then that one. Basically, we loop through a list. 4 done, 4 done, 4 done, right? So it's looping through a list to install. Cool. And then we do a skel. If you already know what the alias skel is, this is basically the skel. Then we say, hey, we've chosen Litium, we should enable Litium. And then you have already a system. Only running this, you have a system, a workable system, not our system, the ArcoLinux system. And then it goes on and on and on. We would like to have this software on our computers. If we are developing a new thing, something new, right? We want to have an image, scrot, we want to record something, we talk to each other in Discord, Telegram, we want to search something, we want to compare something, we want to make a screenshot, we want to edit, and we want to surf. That's it. It just loops again through a list. And the fun is, if you're not into Firefox but into Vivaldi, you just delete Firefox and type Vivaldi there. That's the point. That's our message to you guys. Reuse these scripts, make them better. Give me tips to make them better, right? But it's all there. If you want to have Samba and printers and Bluetooth and sound and laptops. So if you I see people struggling with Samba. First off, there are tutorials on our websites. Guys, go and have a look, right? The other day somebody was having issues. Now things can be super complex, I know. Samba is not the easiest thing. It's actually in the third year of applied informatics that you see it. So there's a reason for it, that it's in the third year, right? It's not that easy, but I think we found, there it is. Utilities, Samba. These are all the articles that are about Samba. If you've watched all of them, I think you'll get Samba, right? So we were going over some things here, like this, network discovery, find somebody else in your computer network, and Samba is sharing your folder with somebody else. And the other person, of course, needs to be able to log in. So I have to make an account for him and a password, and he can log in. 500 and 600, let's have a look at our installation. I should keep talking. 500 and 600 is becoming the ArcoLinux soul and look, right? Specifically this one, but also this one. Let's go to the 600 because you see it contains a lot of ArcoLinux stuff. So we've looked at Lxqt and said, we're missing this, we're missing that, we're missing this, we're missing that. And we don't want applications, well, there's actually this one. We don't want to see these applications, hide. And we do want to see those applications, add. And why not install a nice look for our design? Quantum is design, is theming. Stuff to have a file manager, or F12, XFC terminal, and the wallpapers are there, but special wallpapers, right? To have a Lxqt dual screen. You know maybe by now that I have a dual screen, and it's fun to have two screens. And yeah, I've made wallpapers that are twice 1920 in length, right? So twice, two dual screens like that. And all the rest, the bin, etc, etc, etc. Okay. Do we? Can we? Yes, we can. All right, done. So remember, this is phase, well, not phase, but option 1. This is Virtualbox, so it means I need to go quickly to line 3, boot existing OS. And then I need to get my mouse back. So basically we are option 1, and I'll show you option 2 because it's only, option 2 is just saying download it, run the scripts from 100 to the end, I think it was 800, right? But now we're in option 1. What do they say? You end up in a black screen. Sure, because the system does not know if you chose a display manager and what display manager you chose. So one of the things that's important is we want to get out of this black thing, this TTY thing. We want to go graphical, right? We want to see colors and wallpapers. Now the first thing, let's follow the tutorial here. It says mirror. Is it required? No. But is it important? Yes. If you want to update your system, in my case, the first line, that's the server where all the Arch Linux packages come from. But I know, like I've said before, OSPEC is great. So I'm just going to go ahead and not type mirror and just do press update. And you see the speed, 46, 44 megabytes per second. Hey my God, that's cool. It's done already, it's in. Now the checks. And then it's counting the numbers, right? That's important, all these keys. Remember the word Arch Linux keyring. Well, Arch Linux dash keyring. Any issues with that, with keyrings, any messages? Sudo pacman -s Arch Linux keyring. There can't be enough videos with that tip. And there's a new kernel coming in. That's what, when this happens, if you see these lines, make init CPIO, Linux preset, Linux, right? The kernel is new. We have 5.9.8. We jumped from 5.9.1 on the ISO to 5.9.8. Kernels are important. If you're in luck, just like me, that there are no issues after every installation, that's great, right? But sometimes we hear users saying this particular piece of hardware is no longer recognized by the kernel. Well, if you know that the kernel 5.9.1, for example, was working, remember the application downgrade and then type a package, in this case Linux, and choose the number again. So you have again the kernel that works, because if it works, it works. You don't need to have the latest kernel. There's no need to have Linux, or specifically Linux. You can have Linux LTS, you can Linux Zen, Linux hardened. So there are more options. If you have an issue with a Linux kernel, you can always go back in time, but there are also 4 others. Well, 3 others, right? Linux being the official one. Right, I did my updates. Basically, best tip ever, you have a new Linux kernel, reboot. Boot existing OS. And we've done our mirror. Well, we've decided not to do mirror because it's already great, it's Osbeck. And then we did an update, rebooted, and look at the kernel 5.9.8. And now a very important thing, we want to get out of this black thing, so you have to enable it. Well, first you need to install something, right? SDM, GDM, LXDM. We went for LightDM. And this is an important line. See that this is exactly the same thing, created. Can also be an error if you were playing around and there is already GDM or an MDM or whatever. Then it's going to conflict and it's not going to give this line. And then you type -F. Force. Alright, scale or no scale, Lxqt. They say here, if you're working with a tiling window manager, I would suggest you use scale. Since Lxqt is not a tiling window manager, let's have a look what we get without a scale first, because it says here, and it's fun. We've made the ArcoLinuxD that way, so you can enjoy a Virgin Arch Linux look. If you do not scale right away, take a look at the difference. This is your Arch Linux XFCE. What did we do with it? We made it like this. And you can change it again and again and again. This is Mate, right? And we've changed it into this. And that's fun, of course, to have the freedom to have a look. What does it look actually, right? How does it look? And it all matters, right? Let's go back and let's restart again. Shut down, yeah, sure, go ahead. Well, super easy, guys. Watch your keyboard, Control R, boom. Virtualbox, right? Control R, reset, boom, boot. So we were in the live session because I was looking at the website, right? We needed to go to line 3. This is your Lxqt, not changed. This is Arch Linux look out of the box. We can't click here, can't click here. It goes away silently. Okay, there it is. Drop applications icons here, fine, cool. Accessories, we have the better lock screen. Nobody makes icons for us, right? So we need to have the Sardio or the Surfer icon themes to have an icon here. Compton is here, Python is here. This should not be here. We do not want that to be there. There is nothing to do. You click it and nothing happens. This is not supposed to be there. Oh, we know there's Compton, we know there's Python, but they're not supposed to be in our menu. And hence the package we've made, right? Hide applications, add applications. So this is very much still a version Lxqt, which is version 0.16. Oh, fine. And so on, right? It's not nice. Let me look for a terminal. I would look in here somewhere, or in System Tools maybe. Termite. All right. Scale. Sudo reboot. Oh, we can already see something. I can omit. No, I cannot omit the reboot. Let's reboot. But there is, you saw already the icon in the panel that was changed and so on. So a Skell is going to use the ArcoLinux settings that are coming from etc/Skell. It's a folder. Have a look what's in there. etc/Skell. And it's not an ArcoLinuxB look yet, right? Why? It's ArcoLinuxD. The thing is, we give you a basic something that's gonna work, where all the functionality will be present, but it's not ArcoLinuxB. Otherwise, what would be the reason to have D and B, right? The B is just gonna work, it's just gonna be beautiful out of the box, everything themed and sweet. This thing is more of an let's build it up again, like thinking, why is this thing blue? It's not blue on ArcoLinuxB. Maybe they've installed extra themes, right? And so on. So it's still a Sherlock Holmes story to figure out, hey, what extra Lego blocks do I need to install to get a better look? And that's the fun. That is the fun. Now, let me also quickly show you the, is it here? It is here. Option 2. And that's installing the desktop with scripts. So the mirror, we've decided that Osbeck is good enough for us. And yes, it was. So we saw the speed in the update. And I want to show you this. So if you decide to install it without anything clicking in Calamares, you end up in something black. And the only thing you type is this line, which is actually easy to remember. Git clone, HTTPS, we're on github.com. What ISO are you starting with? With ArcoLinuxD. ArcoLinuxD. And what do you want? I want Arco DWM. No, I want Arco Awesome. And it's all just a desktop name behind it. So Lxqt cd Arco Lxqt ls. Run the scripts, change the scripts, put them on GitHub, and then you type another URL. Say ArcoLinuxD is switched with Eric Dubois, right? And you take in your own scripts for the future. Put them safe. If you are coming back to Lxqt at some point in time, you have already your choices of browsers, of editors, and so on and so on. All right, have fun, guys. You have all the freedom to use. We have ArcoLinux flagship, the ArcoLinuxD, the ArcoLinuxB, and the tweak tool to get any desktop on your machine. Have fun.